The fake moon landing, that was a war against truth and ultimately a attempt a war against God. Just like
Well,
this final experiment that took place,
oh
that
yeah,
was
of course.
also like that is an attempted attack against God.
And you know what? I tell you what, they're so stupid, that Jer and everything, because if they are working, or they are being paid, or they are being part of, something that they are being accomplice with some entity. I don't know if it's the Jesuits, the CIA, or whatever. It's behind all this.
Whoever,
Yeah, but they're stupid because they are in grave danger now. Because now that they've been using them in order to deny flat Earth, openly, they are also in a position to come back on what they did, and to become whistleblowers. Now they are subject to be killed. Normally in the CIA, what they do is that they turn a guy, they use it, they work him, they turn him, and when he does his job, publicly, officially, then they kill him in an accident, something. Why? Because he's too dangerous. Now he knows. Not that he
yes,
convinced the
exactly.
world that
And
he knows, and he can just like give him up. So
like
he's
that's
in.
honestly like that's why if they offered it to me to go, I would reject that
Yeah, yeah,
because
don't.
I would not want to be beholden to those
Yeah,
people and sign the contract, get the checks, right? And then they make them lie about some things, take them somewhere, and right? And
I
then
wouldn't be
if
surprised
they
that.
right, and if they tell the truth and say, oh, we lied or whatever, yeah, then they'd be subject to be,
Of course, anyway,
killed.
that's logic. It's just like a killer. When you send a killer to kill somebody, then you kill him. It's like it's known. It's like not, it's not a secret. People
I
are
understand
stupid.
what you're saying. So those people, Austin and Jaron,
They're in
they
danger. They're
could
in
be
life. They're in
involved.
danger.
And you know
They,
what? I could see it on Austin's face. Like if you look back maybe years ago, watch Austin's debates. He's really cool, really confident, right? Smiling all the time. But then something happened this year.
yeah, it changed. You felt that
Something happened to him.
his nature changed. Yeah, it's possible that they forced them also to do this. We don't know. They
Yeah,
can
for
turn
sure.
anybody. They can take somebody and then work him, and they can turn him, and then they kill him. Those are secret service ways. We know this. The question is, what do you need green screen technology with you when you go to make a documentary on
It was
showing nature?
because they weren't real. It was because they were not really where they said they were at the
That's for
time they
sure.
said they were. Because it was showing that they weren't where they were, which
And
it's a huge
yeah,
controversial thing for that.
yeah. Like they cannot prove anything anyways because there's no South Pole, so they have to fake it. So
Of course.
they have to be careful. But I believe it's a fiasco, and I don't believe it's going to go nowhere. Anyways, there's not too many views for that thing. It should have been something like diffused all over the place. They have like a few thousands of views, maybe 10, 12,000,
Yeah,
40,000.
no, not
It's,
really
it's,
many people care about it. People
it's
don't
nothing.
really.
So it doesn't go nowhere. So if it's a fiasco, it
Yeah.
doesn't go nowhere. Maybe they get a chance to stay alive. But if it goes somewhere and they try to make it like real, so they're in danger.
I'm not sure. You could tell me about what brought you to Flat Earth. Like, what was it for you?
At the time I was working on the lost tribes of Israel, and I was pretty much involved into the gypsy communities worldwide because I realized that they were very much, um, holding for me, the lost tribes of Israel all over the place. So it's a big subject, a big investigation.
That's
So I was
cool.
very busy with this, and even the Nazis were saying the same thing, that the gypsies were Jews, but that's another subject. So, but I knew that there was always something that I knew that I didn't understand because I couldn't succeed into completing that research, and a lot of my friends told me, the way you investigate, you should go and check flat Earth, check flat Earth. So at one point, I said, okay, I'm going to take a break from my investigations. I'm going to go see flat Earth. And as an investigator, because my profession was being a private investigator when I was back in France, it was my job, and I love it. And I kept on doing it in the Torah. I'm also an investigator in the Torah. I like to investigate things, but I'm very methodical. So first of all, I say, okay, it cannot be because we have pictures and movies from the Earth, from the NASA, that the Earth is a globe. So the first thing I did was to analyze, NASA, and then I realized that NASA was lying all over the place. That was clear. It was a shock for me because not only they were lying, but they were spending trillions of dollars to lie, so that multiplied the difficulty for me to understand, all that. So I kept on going, and then I say, okay, what do the media, say about all this? And I saw also, and I realized there was a big, huge campaign of disinformation against flat Earth, and there was an obsession from the mass medias and the sponsored social media to um, to break the credibility of flat Earth, to discredit flat Earth all the way, and they were spending also a lot of money for it. So I was saying to myself, okay, if the flat earthers are as crazy or as stupid as they say they are, so why don't they go after other crazy people and other stupid people? There are a lot of stupid and crazy people in the world believing all kinds of stupid things. So why don't they go after them? So I realized that there was like some kind of a big concern about flat Earth. So that's two. And then I wanted to understand the origins of flat Earth, of the globe theory, where it came from. So I investigated the Vatican because I realized that it started like 600 years ago, when the Vatican started to invent science, and started to come up with theories that the Earth was a globe, that was spinning, and the sun was a big ball, far away. They invented all this, first of all by their bishops and everything, and then as they go on by different people linked to them through, secret brotherhoods and stuff like this. So it's the Vatican actually that masterminded, all that fake science. But what convinced me after that is the Torah, because I investigated the Torah, and the Torah tells clearly that the earth is flat all over the place.
Yeah, I see that.
And so that was for me the thing that convinced me. But also people like Duffy and Geran and all these people also convinced me, because it's by seeing the opposition to flat earth
Yes,
that I realized how stupid they are. On one side you have like good guys, thinking with logic, trying to prove things, respectful guys that don't insult or make fun. And the other side you have like people that just like insult you and making fun
yes.
and don't prove anything. So hey, that's clear that hello, okay, now I know
You know what? We
who,
could talk
right?
about that a moment. We could talk about that a moment. Those people spew hate speech against
Yeah,
the minority group, which is the flat earthers. Now, can you imagine what would happen if they did that against like group of trans people or black people? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Could you
that's it. But
imagine how quickly they would get shut down
yeah,
if
of
they went
course.
against the gay people? Let me tell you about how I came to flat Earth.
Go
A
ahead.
couple years
Yeah.
ago, I would see people like making
Oh,
videos, right?
2 years
And that
ago,
would
like
be
me.
like 10-hour long videos, and I would never watch them. I would see them, but never watch it. And I would never laugh at flat Earth people because some people would bring it up, and I would never laugh at them. You know, I wouldn't agree with them, but they would bring it up. And then for me, last couple years, maybe 2019, I started seeing it much more. And it's like you can't really just hide from it at that point. So I would consider it. I'm like, oh, so people can make very long distance observations. Oh, that's very interesting, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't click for me yet, right? But then it was probably in 2020, right? During the COVID,
Yeah.
or excuse me, the,
Yeah.
sorry to say that. I gotta delete that one. But
There's no name for
but
it.
I
There's no name for it.
but but for me, it was that the Earth was not moving. I just took a moment and I'm like, okay, if the Earth was a ball spinning, we would notice it. But for me, I had so much joy and laughter when it dawned on me that the Earth was not moving. Right? So I was like, okay, that's it. So, but I didn't want to say anything yet because I felt like it's kind of like an embarrassing thing, kind of like
Yeah, of course.
who do you talk to about this kind of stuff, right? So I didn't say anything, and I just started taking it in knowledge and considering things. Like, so if the Earth isn't a ball, okay, so that means it is flat. Okay, what does that mean, right? And then so I started looking into a lot of things. For me, the tipping point was when I figured out the Southern Star Trails. You know, the
Yeah.
dual star rotation.
Hmm.
Once I figured that out, I was like, okay, now I can start
Okay.
talking about it. You know,
That's it.
now that I know that, it's on. And then I
Yeah.
haven't stopped since. And it is a difficult subject, the lights above us, and how our perspective will warp the path of the lights above us. So it's something, you know, and I encourage
Ma-
everybody to look into it.
Makes us grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Since I've joined Flat Earth, I've been the guy I believe, because I don't see any other one, that a Jew, exposing the secrets of the Torah somehow, and confirming that in fact the earth is flat according to the Torah. There is another guy also here in Israel that did the same work that I've done, but he's done it with the oral Torah, like the on the religious side, and he's done a very good video also that also confirms it. It's all over the place. The earth is flat, it's clear. Even the word
Mhm.
globe does not exist in Hebrew. It doesn't appear
You
in the
know
Torah.
something very interesting? Something very interesting, okay? So I studied a lot of it too, like the ancient holy scriptures of all the peoples of the earth, right? The Viking people, how they describe how earth was formed, it is similar to what it says in Genesis. That
Of course.
basically the Midgard, like where we are, was raised by, they name a certain god or whatever that does it. But it is very similar to what it says in Genesis about how the land was formed. And do you ever notice that a lot of the ancient cultures kind of do say the same thing, but in different ways? You
Of
know, did
course.
you ever notice that?
Of course.
To
Of
me,
course.
that's truth. Like that's all part of, and of
Of
course,
course.
everybody believes their own way, but it all kind of says the same thing.
The thing is, the ancient ones, they knew much more than what we do know today, and today they're trying to make us believe that we are progressing, and back then people didn't know anything. They were like just whatever, apes. I don't know what.
Yeah,
And that we are today at the top of the evolution. And actually it's very easy to prove the opposite, because if
yes,
you take the,
yes,
the pyramid of Giza, the big pyramid, well, today we don't even know what it was for. So that means we forgot it. We don't even know what it was for. We don't even know how to build something like this anymore. So that's the
yes.
proof, a proof that we are falling down. We're not like evolving. We're like
It's, yeah, the
going down.
opposite. What do
And
you think about the people that were giant, though? Have you ever thought about the people that were
of
giant,
course,
like
of
the
course,
original, like Adam
o-
and Eve, the original
of course,
people?
of course. There's a lot of mysticism. That means that giants, yes, there were, because it's written all over the place that there were. Now, what kind of giants? Are they giants like physically big people, like they are like 20 meters, or whatever, or are they giants in knowledge, giant in intelligence? The thing is that uh, our cycle of time, according again to the Torah, it's about like not even 6,000 years. We're not talking like about a billion years, so it's not too long. It's not too much. It's not very long time. That means like it's about like probably I believe I'd say like 200 generation, 250 generation. So it's not that much of a long time. So I don't believe that it could be an evolution from giant people, and now that we are now. I don't think so. Even though maybe in the civilizations before us there were maybe people made
Yeah,
differently. It's possible. Everything is possible. But I know
like
one thing. There's one thing that's very important, is that we don't have too much lifetime. We don't have too much time to live on this earth. So the thing is that we
understood.
can be distracted by all kinds of very beautiful things, beautiful stories. And but the thing is that what I'm trying to always
Sure.
focus on is what can I learn in order to help my generation here now today with
Okay.
its problems today, because if not I can just go astray and just like think about things
Okay.
that cannot help me today. Even if you're talking about like demons or angels and Okay, I don't say there are not. I agree. There are worlds that we don't even know. We don't know nothing. But the thing is that here in that reality, I am here for a very short time. So I got to grab when I got to grab in order to
Yes.
to
That's
help.
why I feel it's very important to know the truth and
Yes,
to understand that we've been lied to about everything,
everything,
basically
everything.
everything. And
Of course.
history being also among that. And one thing I wanted to talk about with you was the flood of Noah. And I wanted to also talk about how those people that died, they were very similar to us now, the modern people. And
Yes.
the very strange thing, the proof of the flood is all over the earth. There were the people that died, they were the ones that had all of these giant structures and stuff that they were building. And in the
Yes.
United States, I see it here. The
Yeah.
buildings, have you seen the buried buildings, like in the United States, that there's like tunnels underground? How a lot of the old buildings are actually have become subterranean.
Yeah.
And
I
the
haven't seen
mystery,
the building,
yeah, the
but
mystery there is that the people did not build it underground.
no. Yeah.
It basically somehow it got submerged, and the reason I feel, in my opinion, that that's the proof of the flood, and
Of
I've been
course.
talking about this with different people, is that when the water came down and from beneath, right? Because it came down from both
Yes.
above and beneath.
Yes. Exactly.
All of that water started mixing around on the surface, and it became similar to how it is underwater, like there are currents underwater. And
Yes.
what happened, all the loose soil, all the sand and everything, that's how these ancient structures got buried.
Mhm.
And those people were just like us. It's
Exactly.
very interesting.
Off the coasts of Portugal, I think they found out like I don't know 300 meters or miles. I don't even know. There is a pyramid, like underwater. So of course those people didn't build it
Yes.
under the water. That means the water wasn't there when they built it. So
Yes.
somehow
And
there was some kind of perturbance, something that the water moved somehow.
it's a
you know,
huge proof
maybe
of the flood. It's a huge
of course.
proof.
Of course. And everybody, in all civilizations, they're talking about the flood. We know about it. Now, to know the details of it, to know why and how and everything, so that's more complicated. And I believe,
Yes,
because
I agree there.
I'm inside of it, so I believe that in the Torah, it's written, that language is amazing. It's written in such ways that you can understand all the angles of one subject. It's and anyways, if it was written for us, it's because it's for helping us somehow. Because what is the point for us to know something that happened and that will never happen again, or it's just for us to tell us, first of all, it can happen again, or except for the flood, because actually in that particular case God said it will not
Yeah, it won't
make another
happen
flood. It
anymore.
won't happen again. But it's to tell to make you understand the that generation that was there, that of course it was destroyed, but it's going to come back again. It's going to be the that all war against the creation that NASA is leading. Somehow it's not
Yeah,
something new, it's something old. It's not they didn't invent anything. It's like it's the same war, it's the same thing than before. They keep on doing what their fathers did. And when you're talking about like buildings, huge buildings and everything, well, when we look in the Torah, the first master builder in the Torah is Cain, because Cain was expelled. Okay, and then it's written that he was a city builder, and he built a city called Hanor. He named the city according to his son's name, and it was the first example of a city being built. Because so far before that we were talking about like a garden and nature, but here is the first master builder that built a city. Okay, so this nature, it comes from Cain to build a city. Why build a city? Why can't you just live outside in nature, You can have like a tent or something to protect yourself from the sun or from the the rain. But building a city, it's there's a science behind this, because the way you build a city, you're gonna you're gonna build it according to your spirit, the way you think. And people that are
Well,
gonna come into the city, they're gonna think like you, they're gonna be like you. It's like
well,
to form people.
maybe the fallen angels helped him, or the angels helped him. That
So
could be possible.
we're talking about Nephilim in the Torah, which it's from the word lipol, which is falling. Again, is it like a physical fall? Is it like great people, wise people, that fell, that just like betrayed the
I
vows?
think they were.
I don't
I
know.
think it's just how it says. Like they were angelic beings.
Well,
They saw the women, and they wanted to marry the. They got to choose their wife,
yeah.
and
So
so they were physical. They were, maybe that was how they fell. Like they were a spiritual being, and then they saw the woman and wanted to become a physical person, and they
well,
became a great person.
I believe there is two angles to that story. That means that on the one side, we know that there is the world of the living, which is the one that we're in, you and I. So we have life. We know what life is because we're living. And you have the world of the dead people that are not living. So the dead ones always want to, come to this world and enjoy life or come back to life. And we want what they have, which is knowledge. Because the dead
That's
people,
possible.
somehow
That's
they have some kind of a knowledge. They have some kind of, because they're not in fixed in time, so they can can go back and forth in the past and everything. So they have knowledge. We know people that how do you call those kind of type of death, like they were dead like for a few seconds or a few
Oh, a
minutes, and then
near
they
death
came back.
experience.
Near death
Near
experience,
death
exactly.
experience.
So they tell you that they are all aware of everything that's around them. They see everything everywhere. So somehow in that situation, they have access to knowledge that we don't. So here you have two groups of people, if I can say like this. One wants what the other has. One wants the
Uh,
life. The other one wants
but
the knowledge.
I think it's possible that the dead people, they may not be aware of anything, and there and then
Everything.
this is from the New Testament, like the Christian Bible. It's we await the judgment, and like there'll be a resurrection,
Yes, yes, of
and
course.
people
There'll
will
be.
be judged, right? There will be people that will rise in the judgment, that aren't necessarily Jewish people, you
No, no,
know.
of course. It's all
Um,
the Torah is for everybody. It talks about all the people. It was just
yeah, and
given.
like what it will be, it'll be, some will get a judgment of life, and then some will get a judgment of death, and then the
Yes.
second death, it's like they won't come back.
Yeah, of
But
course.
that's and I think that's an interesting way of doing it. Like this realm, it's like a testing ground, like for what's in our spirit.
Of
And then
course.
God says, okay, what's in your spirit? What's in your heart? And then, we pass
We-
away, but that's not ultimately the end. We have the
No.
hope. We have the hope that God will bring us back, that God will remember us.
Well, actually,
It's
when you think
beautiful.
about it, the first man Adam was immortal. He was not meant to die. I mean, God created a world just like He is perfect, and He created man just like He is perfect. A small man, into a small world, but this is the way He built them. Adam was supposed to be immortal or to live a very very long time. So now he made that mistake, and then death was activated. So you can deduct out of this that death or natural death is not natural. It's a disease because it's something
Yes.
that man created. So it can be repaired. So I believe that at the end of times, of course, immortality, will come back. But today,
Yeah.
it would be a waste to give it to people, because what will they do to that? With that, they will play video games all day long. Like it's with immortality and with time comes also responsibility. You have to learn. You have to build things. You have to evolve. This is why we have a language, writing system. Unlike the animals that don't have any, that don't have to evolve. So 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 that's the way I see it. Now again, I'm a, in the Torah, I'm more like as a demystifier. I like to demystify things in order to understand them, because if I keep them in mystified, so it doesn't help me. Because again, how much time do we have, to do some things for
Well,
our
well,
generation?
don't
So
don't underestimate the mystical side of this reality,
no,
because
I'm
to me,
learning from it.
it's I don't think of it as a waste of time. I think there's little there's little things like little reminders. Like I was just looking at the glow of the moon, and I was noticing how the glow of the moon has a variation, and but I understand what you mean about we have to understand reality. We have to get in touch with current reality and know what's going on.
I think we can you can get to reality through mysticism, and through to mysticism through reality. It's like but it's more
Yeah,
for me like a way to keep secrets, alive. Mysticism is just like it enwraps, the truth, in order for it to be kept in time. Imagine if you had to explain to a 3 years old nuclear physics, with formulas. He could never understand it. But if you make it as a nice story, with a king and a queen and this, and you're never gonna forget that story. But then it will have to
yeah,
be translated somehow. So again, when we talk about giants, when we talk about this or demons, also, I agree that there might be a reality where there is those things. Even in the Torah, it's written. There's a lot of writings about it. But again, uh, I've seen too many, people in Israel learning all day long about these things, and somehow it's just like they're getting drunk with this. It's just like drinking wine all day long. They're just drinking all this knowledge. They don't do nothing with them with it. They just like keep it for them, and they just die with it, and it goes on. So they're just like keepers of knowledge, which is good. Which is because of this we have all these books now. But the thing is that I'm more like an action guy. I'd like to use this knowledge, not just to keep it or just to keep it for myself. I like to use it to know, okay, what does it mean? What did they want to tell
yeah,
us? By
exactly.
by all this. And this is very it is a passion for me. It's like it's
Well,
great
me
because
too. Me too. That's
it
why I see
sharpens your
these
mind.
things. Like that's why I see these things even in the city I live in. I see the evidence that it wasn't modern people that built it. These beautiful like underground rivers, and I learned about where we get our water from in the city. We get it from the hills that looks like a giant tree stump. The water's being pumped out of the hills. And it is just like the Bible's a fountain of the deep, right? That's what the Bible says, right?
Yeah,
And
there
that's
is a
what it
well.
says.
Yeah, fountains or wells. Yeah, that's it. There's wells and there was chimneys. The word in Hebrew is chimneys for the skies, and wells for the bottom. But the thing is that again, there is so much to understand, and you know what it does. It's like when you're trying to understand a subject and try to demystify it or to try to understand what it means, to break the allegories and the subtleties. Somehow there is something that's happening to you that means that it sharpens your mind. And what happens is that with a good trained mind to discern between things, then actually in life you're going to be able also to see things, to focus more on subjects and see things through things. Like when you look at I don't look at the news the way I used to look, like 20 years ago. I, Now I understand what they're trying to to why are they lying on that point, or why are they bringing this, so I try to read through the through the words, and that helps to understand things more clearly.
I want to ask about what is going on in Syria and how does that relate to what's going on with Israel? Like
you,
who
you,
who who just took control of Syria? Because the news doesn't talk about it a lot.
you want my opinion or the mainstream the
Well,
mainstream
whatever.
opinion?
Because I don't. The news doesn't talk a lot
So
about it, and then you know,
so I tell you what. First of all, the fact that Syria failed, in like it fell in like 2 3 weeks. It's not normal. The army didn't fight. There was no fight. Those guys came with light equipment, very light equipment. They had no, like, big war machine tanks or whatever. They came on jeeps with sneakers and shotguns, and almost that's it. So they came in from Turkey, and they took over the country like nothing. So Assad left. He took with him like something like $135 billion with him, that he transferred on the Russian banks. And
Okay.
it looks like something staged, with everybody agreeing, with Israel agreeing, with Turkey agreeing, with the Russians agreeing, with America agreeing that Syria had to go. Okay,
Okay.
so
So
now the thing is, for Israel, the good thing about it is that it breaks the hand of Iran in the area, because Iran, what they did, they got into Syria, they got into Lebanon, they got into Yemen, and everywhere and into Gaza, and everywhere they have their hands, there is death, destruction, and misery. Syria is also a big platform of drug trafficking, in the world. It's like it's a big time, it's like a narco state. We don't talk about it,
okay.
but it's like you have huge transfers of money and drugs through Syria. It's a road, to bring the drugs to United States and to Europe through Syria. It's very known. It's known like for centuries. So you have like a big, huge drug business that's going on over there, and I believe that can be used to pay off people, to help to make Syria fall down. But the thing
Okay.
is that what I believe that happened is that these Islamists that came in, are not really who they say they are, or they've been bought, or they've been by the region powers. Can be also Israel, can be Turkey, can be whatever. And the thing is that what I believe is that since there are lots of different Muslim factions in the country, and there is a huge amount of money to be made and money to grab, I believe what's possible is that it might be a series of conflicts, internal conflicts, and internal wars between these different factions at one point, and that can last for years and years, because we know
Okay.
that among the Muslim worlds there's a lot of divisions. So if you put them together, to take a country, okay, they can fight together, but then as soon as they take the land, they're going to want to grab everyone, more and more and more and more. And what's possible is that, and what's not good for the small people, because always the small people die in Gaza. Also, small people die. So the people that profit from this is always states or big corporations that are going to rebuild or that sell the weapons.
Oh, I
So
see.
that's
Yeah, I
always
understand.
the same story. We know this. Now, the thing is that about the war of Israel, its first priority is its security. It's a small state. There's a small amount of people we have around us, like hundreds of millions of enemies, of potential enemies. So the Israel is spending a lot of money into its defense, system, and of course, it cannot take a chance to lose. Israel cannot lose. They can lose, and they're not going to be destroyed. But if we lose, we're gone. So that means we cannot afford defeat. This is why Israel has to always fight and fight back and strong, and actually it does with success. Thank God, because what Israel has done so far, it's amazing. It's like forget about the wars, just how to construct the country in like 60 years, 80 years. There was nothing there. If you had came here in the 80s, there was nothing. It was like a third world country. So now you have it's been developed, and I believe one of the main reasons why Israel is successful in almost everything, it is because it is the only state in the Middle East where Arabs and Jews work together. Arabs here in Israel are the main manpower. They're the ones that are building buildings, that are working. They won't work, so they're making like some kind of a low salary here, according to Israel. But when they come back with that salary in their villages, in their territories, it multiplies by like 4 or 5. It's like they're making like 2, 3 times what an Israeli is making. What we have to understand is, and I've been studying this for 4 years, there are two kinds of Jews. There are two kinds of Arabs. I've learned from the Torah and from Israel. In Israel, you have two kinds of Jews, which are the Ashkenazi Jews and the Sephardic Jews. Those are two different mentalities. You have the Jews that come from the north, which is Ashkenazi, and you have the Jews from the south part of the world, like Spain and all the Arab countries, and even Iran, Iraq, and the southern ex-Soviet states there. So all these are Sephardic, and it's a different mentality. The southern mentality and the northern mentality are totally different. So you have two kinds of Jews. Now, among the Arabs, and according to the Torah and according to what we see also, we have two kinds of Arabs. We have what we call the sons of Ishmael, which in the Torah is the son of Abraham, which is very much praised in the Torah as somebody that at the end of his life was very, very high, very, very respected. When he died, Ishmael, in the Torah, the words written on him are similar of the ones that are written for Aaron, the priest Aaron, which was a very, very high, person in the Torah. So the thing is that you have Ishmael, which are the true sons of Abraham, and then you have the other guys that we call the sons of Midian. And the sons of Midian are not the sons of Abraham. So how can that be possible? Because when you look in the Torah, you see that Abraham took another wife, and he made like 8 children, and among them a guy that's called Midian. But then he gave them some presents, and he sent them to the east. But they are not recognized as sons of Abraham, even though he brought them to life, with that woman called Keturah. They are called the sons of Keturah. They are called the sons of her, not his sons.
Is it like there's the people they could be biologically related, but somehow disconnected from the true sense?
So these guys, we see later on in the Torah that they don't act like the sons of Abraham. First of all, they practice, pedophilia in a official way, like it's like at the state level, and then they're mostly homosexuals, and they are deprived people, which are not the ways of Abraham. For example, when we fought Midian, and actually we always fight Midian. Israel always is in war with Midian, but never with Ishmael. There was never any war in the Torah between Ishmael and Israel, but always between Midian and Israel. And Midian is playing himself like he's like Ishmael, like he's like you can see he's a Muslim, and it's going to praise God and everything, but it's all fake. It's all a game. He wants to mix up. He wants to be like his big brother, but he's not. So the thing is now to understand how come if you bring life to a kid, it can be considered not being your kid in the Torah. So I'll tell you.
I can understand the concept. That's you're making sense.
In the Torah, a kid, for being a child of someone, you have to have two attributes. First of all, you have to come from his body, and then to follow his ways, to go according to his education. So you can make sometimes a child that is going to be, against you, that's going to go, against your ways. So it's not considered really your child, because, okay, you brought him to life, but he's going the other way. And there might be various reasons for that. Now, the contrary is also true. You can have a child that didn't come out of your body, but that you educated and that thinks like you and that goes your way. So also, that's not his child, but it's also called his child. So it's like, it's half and half. Now, the thing to understand in the Torah, and it's very important, which the nations can never understand, is that there is a law in the Torah which is called the law of Ibum, not baby boom. But Ibum. that means that when it is said that when a man dies without a child, his brother and only his brother can take his wife, the widow, and
I'm
mate with
familiar
her
with the story.
and have children. And at this point, these children that will come out of this union are not the brother's children, they are the dead person's children. So that means that when Abraham took this wife, he took this wife from somebody else, and he made for that somebody, 8 children that are not his kids, but that dead man's, children.
So it was
So
his
this is
brother then, right? That must have been his own brother.
exactly, or half brother, or half brother, and the only one he had at that time was Lot. The name Keturah in Hebrew comes only from one word in the Torah that is similar. The name Kitor, the word Kitor, which means the smoke that came out from Sodom's destruction. That means that you can understand in between the lines that when Sodom was destroyed and he saw that smoke there, then he took a wife, named after that smoke. So that wife can be the wife of Lot. Now there's a problem because if you take it the text literally, Lot's wife turned around and transformed itself into a pillar of salt. Now again, if you read it literally, that's what happened. So you can believe that there is like actually a salt a salt rock somehow. But if you demystify this, you understand this. A pillar, okay, is made to take some weight on it. It's made to to take weight. Now a pillar made out of stones is strong. You can take a lot of weight, but a pillar made out of salts cannot take weight. It's going to just you know crush. So now this is
Okay.
the explanation. A wife in her house is the pillar of the house. Upon her holds the entire household. That means that when she looked behind, she looks after him. It's written in the Torah. It's not physically behind her, but she looked in time. She realized what will happen with Lot and her own daughters, and she saw that her entire household was about to, crush, upon her. And then you realize that actually that woman didn't really turn into a pillar of salt, but she kept on living a very long time, and she was, one of Abraham's, wife, and she gave him, but mostly she gave to Lot, all these children. But actually, Lot was not dead at that time. So when we talk about again another case where you have to understand demystify things, when we talk about dead people in the Torah, we can talk about or physical, dead bodies, or for example, a blind man is considered as dead, a poor man is considered as dead, and a man that is sterile, cannot have children, is considered as dead. So actually, in that case, uh, the Ibum law can be, I believe, applied to somebody that's even alive, but that cannot have children, or that is believed to be dead. Also, check it out. When you talk about a dead body, you're talking about like uh, somebody that has like hard flesh. The dead body is hard, right? It's cold also. So if you want to translate that into and demystify this in the Torah, when you talk about the resurrections of the dead, so okay, we can think like this, that okay, the dead people that are actually buried are going to come back up, and I agree with this also. I have no problem with this at all. But I also realize that maybe the dead people at one point, it's us. That means that at one point where you have a generation of people that are cold people, hard people, that don't understand nothing, they don't see nothing. It's like a dead body don't see. So you have a generation of like dead people, dead as human beings, because they don't want to understand nothing, they don't care about
Oh,
nothing,
okay.
they don't know nothing. So they're dead. Like, what do you do here? You're just like an animal, just want to eat and sleep and play. And
You know what? That's why
what are you?
people, like Christian people and myself, it's like we say that it's like Jesus brings us back to life in a way.
Yes, yeah, that's
Like
you
we
can,
were
you can say like
alive,
this.
physically alive, but in a way, kind of spiritually dead or spiritually
Exactly,
asleep.
exactly. That means that it's talking about an awakening, not a resurrection, but more an awakening, which we are witnessing today. Because what's going on with flat Earth is like,
Yeah,
uh,
this
uh,
is
uh, uh,
intense with flat Earth.
this is very intense.
And I like how you said it that it was God. It's God that is the leader of flat Earth. Like,
It can only be
because I
God.
say I say there's no like human, like a president of flat Earth or anything. You know, we don't have
No,
a spokesperson. We don't have like that. But I could understand that. Yeah, like God wants people to know the truth, and there's this is something
exactly.
very special about this time we're living in.
The truth is
Yes,
printed into our DNA, anyways. Everybody knows the truth. Even those that fight it, they
yes.
know it. Even though they hate it, but they know it. And actually, by themselves, people are going to want to come back to God. But it has to go by steps. So first, they're going to want to know the truth about the twin towers, and then in politics about things about all kind. It's okay, it's okay. But as long as you're fighting to know the truth, whatever the subject, there is a chemistry that's taking place, which is like a drug, it's like a test. Then you want to know the truth about more and more and more.
There is something very special about this time we're living in right now. Like how
Very
you mentioned, like cleaning water. You know how I think the big change is going to come through artificial intelligence and advanced computing systems. Like you say, to demystify it, just the technology itself could ease the burden off of humankind.
of
Something
course.
that could never have been possible before, except by God doing it. So that's
So
why
that,
I feel that's very important. But yes, for flat Earth, yes, it's a truth that's bringing a lot of diverse people together.
of course, they're making out of technology. They're making a god out of it. Because
Oh, for the AI,
technology for the AI, for everything, they're creating things, and they bow to them. That's the principle of paganism. You create a statue,
well, you
and
don't
you just
worship
go
it.
to it
That'd
and
be a
say, "Oh, that's
mistake to
God."
worship it. It would
Yes,
be
but
definitely a mistake to worship a
but
software god, like a computerized,
but
but to
but
utilize it properly. That's what I
but
mean.
you see NASA, it's doing exactly what the snake was doing. What did the snake
Oh
say to
yeah,
the woman?
yeah.
You're going to be
You
like
eat,
like God. You're going to be
yeah.
like
You
God. You're going
won't.
to be even
You'll never
you'll be
die. You'll be like God.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And what about technology? They say the same thing. You like God. You don't need God. You have technology. We can go to the stars. We can do anything. We can even live longer now with technology, with chips or whatever,
Yeah, that's
parts of
weird.
animals and whatever. This
Well,
is
I
crazy.
think it's possible they could help people. It is possible, just
Oh,
but to
what?
worship it or to put it in our brain or let it take over our brain, that would be a huge
But
mistake.
but I tell you, if you find a way to live a little longer, but at what price? At the price of being dehumanized. That means that if now your body is like half, electronics, or half, animal body parts, you're not you yourself. It's over. You're dead. This is not progress. You see, this is
You
how
mean
they fool us.
like a pig
Uh,
heart or
yeah,
like
pig
pig
heart, whatever.
valves
Yeah, pig
or
heart, like
I heard of that.
lion's eyes, or
I don't think
chimera.
I'd want that. I wouldn't want
No,
that, I don't think.
yeah, but they can fool you into telling you, okay, if you put a lion eye here or something, you can live longer. You can
Yeah, I
they
wouldn't want
can
to
fool
do. I
people
think
with this.
that's probably what happened with the people that were killed in the flood of Noah's time. They probably did
It's
that.
very possible, very possible.
It is
Uh, uh,
possible.
Look at Egypt, all those bodies of human bodies and like animals' heads. It's also maybe a
Yeah, that's
message of
pretty
like, hey,
weird.
it's weird. So the thing is that when you think about it, how they fool us. For example, they can tell you, look, medicine is progressing, and they tell you, look, now today we can put like an artificial heart into the man's body, and he can live another like 20 years or 30 years.
It's
No problem.
possible, yeah.
It is possible. I agree with it. Now, this is for me not progress. True progress would have been to fix the original heart, not to throw it away.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
if
yes,
this is
that's true.
progress, then what's next? My eyes are not working. I'm going to make like bionic eyes, or like I'm going to put some technology. My hands are not working. I'm going to replace them with also with whatever metal parts. My lungs are not working. I'm going to have like pink lungs. So at the end, I'm going to be like half animal, half metal. I'm dead.
Oh, I want to keep my original parts
Of
as long
course,
as I can. My
of
original,
course,
I want to be me. I don't want to
of
be a
course.
robot. I don't want
So
to be a lizard.
that's what they pushing for, the merging humanity, merging mankind with the machine and with the animals. in order to to pervert it. It's not to fix it. It's not to like progress and give you eternal life. It's to give that monster that making eternal life because you're gone.
I picture easy things like to help people, like say clean their house or help farmers. Like it's like a robot thing that could help farmers. Or even for defense. Like robot things that could just patrol an area. You know, and it's like warning, warning. Drones in the
Yeah,
area. Stuff like that. Not stuff like taking over the human mind and their
yeah.
kill
But
their
then
spirit.
then the machine can turn against you. They get it, or they can say, "Oh, now you have no more credits." So you have to
Well, that's
because
true.
God,
That's an interesting
they can
thing to
control you.
consider. But I think it's possible that it's one of the things that's going on in the modern time that actually could make life better for people on Earth. Like maybe it could be the you know what I mean? Artificial intelligence just doing basic things to help people, like I said. Clean
No,
house.
no,
Farm.
I have no problem with this. But at then what will people do all day long? That means if they don't work,
Meditate on God's word,
yes.
pray,
In that case, yes.
visit their
In that
family, right? Visit their family and friends and
in
play
that case,
music,
yes.
play
But
guitar, whatever.
it's
Peaceful
possible.
earth.
But look at people, rich people today, that don't need to work and don't need to. What do they do? Do they meditate on God? Do they do? They don't do that.
They want to maintain their wealth at all costs and
Yeah.
grow their wealth at all costs.
You understand? So now you said the word modern, and this is very important because in the Torah it appears again in between the lines. Because after the flood, the first guy that built the city again, those are all the same guys. Cain, the snake, Nimrod, all this, all those are all the same, the same family. Now Nimrod, that built the city of Babylon, Babel.
Yes.
That means confusion in Hebrew. Babel. They took that word to name the Torah Bible, which is also Bible, means confusion. It's like from
Well,
Babylon.
the
They just
Bible, actually, how I
it's
see
like
the word Bible, it's two words. There's "by," which just means two, and the bowl. You know what a bowl is? A Toro.
a bull. Yeah, 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 bull. Yeah, well, of
That's
course.
why there's the old Toro and the new Toro. The
That's
the
that, that,
two
that,
the two bowls. Get
that's
it?
not bad because bulls and cow in the Torah also refers to the Torah. That's not bad. That's not bad.
See,
That's
but
not bad,
people
Matthew.
people also say Bible means basic instructions before leaving Earth. Bible.
That's
It all
nice.
goes together. It all goes together. It's very interesting.
But the thing is about modern. The word modern actually in Hebrew it's moderni. It's like in modern Hebrew, modern. It's we say that moderni, and actually moderni is the anagram of Nimrod. And actually, I believe
That's
that
interesting.
when
Interesting.
it was written, the name of Nimrod, they knew that at the time that of course, building a city back then was in the idea of being modern. Let's say that before they built that city of Babylon, at the time of Nimrod. I'm not talking about what happened in Iraq after that. That's another story. But the first city that they built at that time, it is for me, it proves that they didn't have any cities at the time. They were living in tents. So when you think about it, when you live outside within tents, what's happening? You open your tent in the morning. What do you see? You see the mountains, you see the skies, the sun, and you're going to tend to praise God that built all this, that created all this. What a
Yeah.
beautiful world we live in. Now when you're in the city and you open the windows and you see whatever, the towers, the pyramids, the cars, the tram, the whatever, you're going to tend to praise the human being that built all this, because God did not build all this. So it is made the
That
city
yeah, that's
in
true.
order to take the man away from God and say, look, everything that surrounds you, it's from the manpower, from the man technology. So come on, let's be modern. Let's live in a city. Don't live outside like a farmer. Just come into the city, and over there everything is modern, and you're gonna progress. And that's a trap somehow, because actually living in a city makes you forget God, because now you are into a man's world, not into God's world, because everything that surrounds you, even though God gives you the intelligence to build a city and everything, no problem, but it's actually made out, from the man's hands, not God's hands. So actually, you're going to tend to admire, you know, mankind, admire the technology, admire manpower, and this is the trap of the city. This is why the city is not something good in the Torah. It's usually we avoid the
I,
cities. We Jews were like
yeah, I
dwellers. We don't go in
I
the
could
cities.
understand that for sure. I understand what it's like because I go hiking in the hills and I notice how peaceful it is, and I don't even hear cars.
This
All
is
I
best.
hear is birds. Then it's one of my favorite places to go. So I understand that how
Oh,
cities are kind of like like how it's not a good idea to have a lot of people congregating in a large area and living and trying to maintain such a large number of people, right? The infrastructure would be too much. I
yeah, and then
understand that.
then it creates conflicts. It creates jealousy. You want what the other one has, the neighbors has, and then you have like all kinds of problems when you put people into, you confine them into like a closed environment. This is
It's like a
many.
jail, like a city becomes like a jail almost,
Yes,
like
yes,
a trap. But I wanted to ask you that that's interesting about the name Nimrod being like associated with the word modern.
yes,
That's an interesting way to look at that.
of
But
course.
also, is there also a mountain or a city on a mountain called Nemrut in Turkey? Like I was
I have.
thinking
I don't know.
that could be associated. Like that just
Well,
be how they call Nimrod. You know what I mean?
uh, it depends for how long does that mountain bear the name.
Yeah, that's true.
The more, because for example, the Mount Ararat, where everybody says, okay, the Ark is over there. It's bullshit. Why? Because that mountain was not named Ararat like 1500 years ago. It was named something else. So it's all fake. It's like there's also a city called Jerusalem in the United States. So what is it over there
Yeah,
that
that's
the
true.
temple was built? So this is, you have to be careful about the names.
Sam, there was a video you did that I really liked. You were talking about the Statue of Liberty. How
Oh yeah,
in the Torah it's possible they mentioned the Statue of Liberty.
of course. No, no, it's not. It's not actually. That means that the Statue of Liberty was built according to a statue that existed in Egypt, and it is said also in Judaism that this statue was very hard to pass by. So that means that they were like sorcery. They were doing some kind of tricks. That means that people that wanted to escape Egypt, they had to stop in front of that statue. It was so
Right,
impressing, and they used to come back. They used to say, "Oh no, we cannot go. We have to come back." So
right.
that's what
That's
it
like the
is said in
story, the
Judaism.
narrative. The narrative is that it came from France. It went from
Yes,
France to the United States. Now,
yeah, yeah.
remember what I'm saying about how history, it's like a lie. Everything we're told is almost like a lie.
Of
The
course,
Bible's true. The Bible's
it's
correct.
it's these
The Torah
guys.
is correct.
Everything is correct. That even in Judaism, people that learn the Torah, but they don't go deep into it. They just learn it on the surface like this. So okay, they keep the stories intact and alive. But the thing is that they cannot understand in depth things.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Uh,
information, right? To
it's a
pass it
lot of
down by word of
information.
mouth, right? Oral
Yeah, yeah.
tradition, right? It's
Well,
like how do you maintain all of that by
well,
passing it down word of mouth? It'd be
the
very
the, the
difficult.
the Jews, the religious Jews, true religious Jews, not like me, because I'm a very light religious person. I'm doing the minimum, But the people that actually do everything that has to be done in the religion, they read like a book that thick every day. That's a book of prayer every day. It's like thousands and tens of thousands of words that they have to read every day, and sometimes many times a day. So it's all they can do is again is to keep the Torah alive, and I believe this is what that was the purpose of the people of Israel, to keep these books untouched, unaltered through time, in
Which
order
is
after that
wise. That's a very wise thing to do, is to
of
not
course,
change it.
not change it, of course, and then at the end open the books and diffuse it and explain it to the entire world. It's not only for Jewish people, it's only for Jewish people to keep, because somehow we were able to do that. God knows what he's doing, so it shows us to keep those books, but those books are for the entire world, but to understand, of course.
But
So
are people going to change the? Are they going to try to change the Torah now?
of course, everybody's going to try to change. They tried to change for like thousands of years, but they didn't.
But
They
are they
didn't.
are they doing it in Israel? Like, because I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. Like,
Yes.
are there like rabbis that are preaching the
Yes. Yes.
heliocentric model?
Oh, of
Okay,
course.
wow, that's
Mostly the establishment, religious in the religious establishments. They are like, of course, praising the heliocentric model. So the thing is that
that is
according to
crazy.
what
That is crazy.
yeah, according to what I believe I understood, the people of Israel has been and the religious people in the religion in Israel has been infiltrated for about like maybe 500 or 600 years. That means that books and great rabbis and great books were written, but with the mission to insert into them things that are not kosher, things that are going to tend to make you believe different things. But they have to
Yes, yes.
wrap that up into lots of nice truths, seducing books, and people
That
falling. And I
happened.
saw that. Yes,
That happened
I,
with the Bible as well. They did the same
in
thing
the
with the
Bible,
Bible.
only the oral Torah, because the written Torah they cannot change one letter, because if somebody was changing something, but they can comment in a way that you're going to end up believing the contrary of what it means. So because the people of Israel, they're not stupid, but they are made to keep the Torah. That means that that's a job. I was a security guard in the bank, so I had all the keys, and I know what to close, what to check, what to I decide who can come in, who cannot come in. But if you ask me about what kind of company I could invest in, or what will the dollar, the fluctuations of the dollar, I don't know. I don't know nothing about money. I have no clue about how to manage your money, and I work in a bank. But because I'm just a guardian of the bank, my job is not to know about the money, it's just to know about the security of the building. Those are the Jews. They are keepers of the truth that I don't understand, because they don't have to understand it in order to keep it. So they did their job, and now we are at the crossroads where we have to start understanding what we believed in so far, what we kept so far. And
That's a good way to do it. That's a
this is
good way
very
to do it.
yeah, but it's hard, because lots of people don't want to go that way, because they're afraid they're going to lose what they believe they have.
There's things I wanted to ask you about the Torah. Okay, what does the
Good.
Torah say about the Messiah?
Not too much. It is said that at the end of times there will come a man, actually a poor man. It is said that he's going to be riding a donkey again. Those are allegories, and that there are three things that are going to confirm that he is the Messiah, because there was a few examples in the Torah, or not in the Torah, but in history of people that the Jewish people believed they were messiahs, but they were not, because they died, and because in the Torah again, and that's the big argument between Christianity and Judaism, and that the Messiah cannot die. That means if he dies, it was not the Messiah. Bar Korba, at one point, when he led the rebellion against the Romans in the year 100, I think, or something. So what happened is that at the end he was betrayed by two guys, and two Jewish guys, and then he got caught and died. So we believed at the time that he could be the Messiah, because he led the
I
Jewish
heard that
people to
name,
victory.
Bat
But it was
Korpa, right? I have
Bar
heard that
Korba.
name.
He's a Jewish leader, strong leader, and he fought the Romans and he won. He had a few victories, and the Jewish people were like thrilled for that, and they believed he could be the Messiah. But when he died, they realized he was not. So the thing
But
is that there are three things that proves that the guy that's going to come as Messiah is actually the Messiah. Is that first of all, he's going to have to bring back the lost tribes of Israel to Israel. The second thing is going to have to uh, make peace among the nations. It's going to be like a peace all over the place. There's be no war no more. People are going to pray for knowledge, A little bit like the in the time of Solomon. Solomon also there was peace and people were coming to see him and ask him questions and
Okay.
everything. And then the third thing is that he's going to have to build him, not anybody else, the third temple. So even though he does like those two first things, brings peace in the world and brings the lost rights, but he doesn't build the third temple, he's not the Messiah. So we're very strict on those 3 points. But again, these are also deductions from what's written in the Torah about him, from the Jewish scholars. But we
Well,
can
it does sound like something Jesus would do, like when Jesus comes back, like what you said will happen. That does sound like what Jesus would do.
so actually, when I think about it, me personally, if you think about it, what do I care who is going to be the Messiah? I don't care if he's going to be fat, if he's going to be skinny, if he's going to be big, if he's going to be black, yellow,
The people
blue.
may not like him. The
I don't
people
care.
won't think he'll have.
We
I
don't
think
have to
in
like him.
Isaiah, is it in Isaiah how it says the people won't look at him like he's anything good to look at? What does the word say? Like they're
I
not
don't.
going to look at him like he's great.
I,
You're
I,
right, exactly
but
like
but
you said.
but I don't care because people are going to argue. Say, okay, Jesus is the Messiah. We say no, he cannot be because he's dead. And then you have the Muslims that also call him another name or something. So everybody's got his Messiah. I have no problem, as long as God proves that this guy is the Messiah. I don't care who it is.
Another thing was Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39, the
Yes.
prophesied war. Because I
Okay.
know what the different Christian Bibles say, but what does the Torah say about that? It's interesting, right? Because it's something that it really is fascinating me, and I'm
Because
wondering if that could be happening. Like, is that what's gonna happen? Like right
Ezekiel,
now,
you saying Ezekiel what?
38 and 39, the war, the prophesied war with Gog and Magog.
I don't
Because
even have
that's
to look
very
then.
fascinating to me.
Well,
Like what does the Torah say of that?
I tell you something. I've been studying the Torah a lot. I've been going deep in some subjects, not all of them. And when I try to go into that Gog and Magog war, it's still dark for me. I don't understand all the angles. I know it's going to be a very terrible war, and it cannot be a conventional war the way we think, like with atoms and everything. This is bullshit. I believe it's a war where religions are going to fall. All the beliefs that we have, even though in Judaism, a lot of things that we believe, everything which is not true, not accurate, is going to fall. And this is going to be terrible. You're going to have people committing suicide. I believe it's more like a war of at a spiritual level, not at a physical level. You know how many wars we had already? We had like thousands of wars. It didn't destroy us. But the spiritual war can create like a total change in mankind. But the hardest changes, because imagine that you believe into something with all your heart, and that you invest into it, and then at the end you realize that's a lie. So what do? Your whole life is destroyed unless your love for truth is stronger than your beliefs. That you say, okay. That's why always when I say things about the Torah or my beliefs, I always leave a back door open. I always say, but I might be wrong, because when you talk about things that happened like thousands of years ago, all you have to judge is like what's been written by other people that are dead a long time already. So you cannot know for sure everything. So always live in your mind like a back door to escape, like just always accept the fact that maybe, despite the fact that you believe with all your heart in what you believe, maybe it's possible that there's something I didn't see, that I'm not right all the way, or I might be wrong in what I believe. And even in Judaism, what I'm
I
sure, I'm
understand that.
100%, I'm 200% sure of what I'm saying, but always say I might be wrong, because if the time comes when God reveals Himself and reveals to us that what we believed in so far was not accurate, was not true, so we will be, so we'll not tend to rebel against God and say, no, it's true, you're a fake God because what I believe is true, and then you can fall on the other side and just like so you have to be always open, and it's very hard to
I would call that
think
having
like
a
this.
good attitude. Like No matter what
Yeah,
happens, try to have a positive attitude
and,
about things that
and
are happening.
flat Earth is training us for this. Because you know what? If you had told me that we didn't go to the moon like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have laughed at you. I said, "Come on, are you crazy?" I was certain of it. I was sure. And when I really realized that we never went to the moon, I got angry because I realized I was stupid, and it was not easy to to accept.
I
But
can
okay,
understand that.
we're talking about the moon, so I could accept it. Not tomorrow, you're talking about God or the Torah and everything is going to be very much harder to accept it if people tell me, okay, that's not true what you believe. So always you have to keep in mind that maybe you're wrong. Maybe we are wrong on something. So this is just like a security, a safety clutch. I don't know how you say that in English, to make sure that if when the truth comes, you can accept it. What I wanted to tell you about Gog and Magog, one thing that links the flat Earth and Gog and Magog through the oral Torah. It's a comment of a big Jewish scholar that's called Rashi that comments the verse in Job that says, "Have you ever uh, come to the treasures of the snow?" Okay, that means what it means. But in Hebrew, again, that's why you need Hebrew. Those words to say, "Have you ever come to Habata El?" Are only repeated twice in the entire Torah, and it's always in the book of Job. And the first time they are mentioned, they are written, is to tell you, have you ever come to the sea barriers? That means that the what encloses the ocean. So in the
That's
Torah, I know
cool.
that it's a book that has to be made with words, but there are subtleties that you have to understand. Is that if these exact words are being reused here, which they don't have to, that means that secretly the Torah wants you to understand that there is a link in between the two verses. So here, when we are
Hmm.
talking about the sea barriers, we are also talking about treasures buried in the snow over there, even though it doesn't appear like this in the Torah. But it's
That is
understandable
interesting.
by the fact that those two words are being repeated and only here. You understand? It's not just like this. There is a reason. So at that point, uh, on this in the second verse, Rashid, that big scholar, it says that over there, God buried very important, very valuable treasures to be used at the end of days, and he says that this refers to the war of Gog and Magog.
Admiral Byrd, on his expeditions, said that there was a lot of natural resources out there.
Oh, not
That's
only this.
very interesting. So
So
that
check it.
combines the Bible with
He, of course, it
modern
can be
times.
natural resources. It can be books. It can be things we don't know what's there. But
That is cool.
for me, what's important to understand is that flat Earth thing, and what I did in flat Earth, I realized real quickly how huge were the stakes, about flat Earth, because it's not about just the shape of the Earth. It's just like the shape of the Earth is just like a bait, for us to come, and because it concerns everybody, because everybody lives on Earth. But
Yes.
slowly you're gonna see it's gonna amplify. It's gonna be something huge, because again,
Yeah.
like you said, that we are being lied on everything, not only just about the shape of the Earth, but everything. And it is normal, because again, the more there are lies, the less there is God. God is called the truth in the Torah. This is one of his name officially. When we pray, we also pray to truth. But actually, so if God's name is truth, or if the Torah is called the Torah of truth, the book that he gave, that means that everything which is a lie is at the opposite side of God. So that means
Yes,
that
exactly.
if you
Exactly
live in
right.
lies, you cannot live with God. And then I believe that I explained it in the last podcast, I think, with Eddie, that actually evil comes from that distance you put into in between God and yourself. The more you
Yes.
go away from God, and the greater the evil is. This
Yes,
is way. This is way.
that's why it says God created heaven and earth, but I think you're right. It's the people create their own hell.
Of course,
Right?
God
And
doesn't
now,
create.
interesting thing, watch this of words. The word sin, like in English, means like to break the commandments, right? But
Yeah,
in Spanish, sin means without. So if we do sinful things, that means we're
Yeah.
doing things without God. It's
Yes.
interesting how
Empty.
all the words come together.
It's
It's
about
beautiful.
emptiness. Emptiness. Like what and also in the Torah we called bad people, like evil people, empty people.
I
Anashim
can
Hakim in
understand
Hebrew,
that. Yeah.
which is empty. They're empty inside. They don't have any soul. They don't have any more humanity, mankind. They are empty, like a
And but then
corpse.
that refers to also if it's empty, that means the bad spirits can enter. Like
Exactly,
if
of
they don't
course.
if they don't have the Holy Spirit, they have the
Yeah,
bad spirit. It's
exactly.
interesting. I understand that.
It's all logic. It's all it holds together. Everything is logic. But of course, we
Yep.
have to think about it a little bit. We have to dig.
It is
So
cool though.
so that's it. And so flat Earth for me is a way to come back to God, you know, by asking questions, by investing yourselves into understanding. Because today the societies, teach us not to care, just play video games, be stupid, everything is nice and easy, make money and just forget about everything. But when you care, when you want to understand, this is hard, this is tough. You got everything against you, everybody against you, you know.
Yeah.
So those people that just and I admire them very much, that fight, that invest themselves just to understand and to prove that the earth is flat, and to those people are great people.
What I think just about being honest. That's why it's like there's so many different types of people that are flat earthers because it's like if people are honest, they can admit that yeah, the earth is flat and it's not moving. If
Of
people
course.
are not honest, they're going to love the lie.
But
So
I
that's
tell you
that's
something.
what's happening.
People are scared. They are scared to lose what they believe they have. So imagine a guy that lives into the system. He has money. He has money in the bank. He has his business. He has his house, and he lives out of the system. Like mostly all of us. But he believes that changes or big changes or reforms, might change his lifestyle and he might lose what he has. So he'd rather, fight to keep alive, as long as he can keep what he believe he has, alive. The Messiah is going to be the end of money, the end of religions.
Yes.
That means that it doesn't mean that we're not going to believe in God
Yeah, I
anymore. We're
like
going to do.
that.
It's going to be like the religion is going to become science. It's going to become
Okay.
a way to understand things,
Well, it's
by
like this, Sam.
demystifying
It's
it.
like in the I think it's the New Testament, right? I think it's Jesus telling a story about how there's a very wealthy man who has all these storehouses of treasure, and something about how he dies just thinking about how he's going to store his treasure, right? And that's
Yeah,
when the angel comes to take his life. It's that I understand what that means, and I mean I understand people use money, but I also understand that it does separate us, like to love money and to basically like worship the system of money instead of
that's it.
having a more natural relationship with God.
When you think about a subject like money, you can check it out in the Torah also. Where does money come from? I'm talking about according to the Torah. It doesn't matter if you believe or not in the Torah, if a guy doesn't believe in God or not. Those are books that exist for thousands of years. So they can be studied. They can give you like some insight. So the thing is that uh, in order for me to understand the origins of money, I'm going to take the word money. Money in Hebrew is kesef. So I'm going to look in my computer where that word appears the first time in the Torah. So if it's a holy book, if it's a good, a book, given by God, actually that word that we use so much today in our society, money, kesef in Israel, should have, been mentioned in the Torah and should have been explained. Its origins should have been explained in the Torah, and they are. They are not explained in universities or in Wikipedia, that's for sure. But in the Torah, they are. Because, check it out, the first time that word appears in the Torah, the first time you see the word money or silver, because the same word, silver, money, is when Abraham comes out of Egypt. At one point, there was like, food missing, I don't know, you call that starvation. And Abraham came to Egypt. And then he came out 3 months later, and he came out, it's written very heavy, with gold, with silver or money, and with all kinds of flocks and animals that he got from Pharaoh. So if this is the Jewish logic, if that word money appears there in what Abraham had, and when he was coming out of Egypt, that means that money comes from Egypt because all he had was given to him by
Yes.
Pharaoh. Now
Right.
you can deduct that maybe at that point it's just a maybe that money was in fact created by Pharaoh himself.
Have you ever read
Yeah,
the book of Enoch? What it says about that? How the angels
no,
came down and they taught mankind bad things. They taught
yeah, yes,
mankind how to make war. They taught man how to do language, and also most likely money, the use of
yeah, of
money.
course.
And
No, yeah, it's
so
really
yeah, it's unnatural.
well.
And that's why I think it's good if the Messiah gets rid of the system of money. That I
Of
like that
course,
honestly.
this is meant to enslave. So check it out. So at that point, just by looking at the first time the word appears, you see that it appears there, and you can deduct that maybe Pharaoh, is the one that started that money system,
Or
the
at least
first coins.
continued it, right? Or at least continued it.
So let's check it out. Now,
Yeah, because that's
when we look a little farther in the Torah, when the sons of Israel, came out of Egypt, enslaved in Egypt, it is written again in Hebrew, if you read Hebrew, that tax collectors were being put upon them, like not taskmasters, like it is translated in most of the books, but tax collectors. Misim in Hebrew, misim are taxes. So sari misim are tax collectors or tax ministers. So you cannot tax people that don't have money. You cannot tax slaves unless they are
that's
being
true.
paid.
Well,
Now,
they could.
when
What if they could take their if they had some type of produce or maybe oil or something
possible
like.
also, I'm open to this at that point. But then it closes up because when they come out from Egypt, it is said that Pharaoh's, all the Pharaoh's horses were pursuing the Hebrews, and the word kesef actually appears in the initials of those three words, kol sus paro, which means that the money was very much involved in Egypt. And the thing is that actually, when you think about it, Egypt was very strong into enslaving people.
Oh yeah, they
But
wanted
the
the
money,
economy. They wanted to not just enslave the people, but own their buying and selling. Right?
not
Like
only this, but enslaving them through money. That means that the
yes,
best
yes.
slave ever is the slave that does not know that he's a slave. A slave
I
that knows that
understand
he's a
that.
slave
Yeah, that makes sense.
always will want to escape, maybe, but the one that doesn't know that he's a slave and that actually believes he's free is going to be fighting you in order to stay in that jail. And actually, only 20% of the Jews came out of Egypt. After all the miracles, 80% of the people of Israel remained in Egypt and died there. That maybe you don't know that. We know this. It's written in the Torah that only a fifth of the people of Israel came out. So that means that imagine how much they were like, lobotomized, like they were like very much into that system. They could not get out, just like today. So money was a way to enslave, the best way, and until today, to enslave people. This is the tool of enslavement. Before that, according again to what we believe in the Torah, it was the salt that was used as a common object to buy everything. And actually, the salt was held by the first power that was in place at the time was Nimrod, which was on the other side of the Jordan River. And that guy used to control the Dead Sea area where there were lots of salt mines over there. That means controlling that area was like controlling the World Bank because salt was the pillar of economy at the time because everything was
Yeah,
being sold and bought into salt. But the thing
like
is
the
that
word
it's also
salary, right? Like we have the word salary in English
exactly, and like
for
we have
salt.
the word war in Hebrew, it starts with the word salt because salt in Hebrew is melach and word is milchama, which is the same word. That means that actually the first war that you read in the Torah about Abraham and those four kings against those five kings, all this was about the money. The war is always about money, and about the salt at the time that was the instrument of money. And before the salts, there were just exchanges. You can give me like food against weapons, clothes against this, and you were just exchanging things. And what is the good thing about barter, about this type of economy, is that you cannot buy what you don't need. You can only buy what you need. You cannot stock, money or goods. You cannot buy like 2,000 eggs or 5,000 chickens. You're gonna buy chicken because you need a chicken now. You're gonna buy two, three chickens. You're gonna buy what you need, and then you're free most of the time. You don't have to think about storing, buying power all the time, and you are free to think about different things, like studying your environment, observing nature, observing people, writing. So people were like much higher spiritually because they had time. They were not stressed, and actually the Egypt also killed people by stress. It's written that God saw the stress they were stressing the people of Israel with. That means out of the stress, out of pressure, come all the disease in the world. Every disease comes out of pressure, and money. That you have to work more to pay more taxes, and you have to buy more goods, and you have to own more things, and then think about storing things, and it goes on and on.
Yeah,
You're just like getting fatter, not growing higher, just getting fat. So this is how you kill people, you enslave people by making sure that they're going to take care of futilities all day long, like stupid things that they don't need. So that's the point. But this is a nice subject. We can talk about it again. But to tell you about
yeah, of
money,
course.
about everything in the Torah, you can learn about everything. And I believe that a lot of the truths of the Torah was dispatched all over the place in all different books, in different religions. So we have to retrieve all these sparks of truth all over the place, because even though we don't agree with other religions and other beliefs, what I believe is that you cannot build another religion or build another book without some truth in it. You cannot build. There's no such thing as a lie, like 100% lie. There's no such thing. So there is truth all over the place that we have to retrieve. And in
Yeah,
Judaism
I
today,
understand that.
unfortunately, there is also lies that's been inserted into the religion, not into the Torah because this is untouchable and untouched and it remain unaltered, but into the teachings of modern rabbis and everything. We have to be careful. Today
Yeah, I can
we've had
understand that.
examples of rabbis, being caught being pedophiles with their own students and everything. So that's not even, they're not even from us. So those are people who are being infiltrated so forth from somewhere. I don't know. There are fake rabbis, fake teachings, and that's normal. I agree. I
Well, just
accept it.
people are sinful, right? There are people that have sin in their
Well,
heart, right? That's
yes,
not that's not for every group is like that. Every group, any group
yes,
has
but
everybody
as
has
long
sin.
but there was never cases like this, like in Morocco, like 100 years ago. Like there was never cases like this in Jewish Orthodox communities. There was never heard of. There is like how do you call it, adulteries and everything. There can be things like this, but like having sex with a student or raping or homosexuality and everything like this. It's like unknown. Or if there was, it was very much covered up because there's no such thing. There's no usually in Judaism we like to underline all our sins because it is made for us to understand evil and to fight it, and also to remind us that we are only human.
That's how
In the
you
Torah,
learn, right? That's how
there's
you
many
learn.
many cases. Yeah, there are many cases of Israel rebelling against God despite all the miracles, all the things they've lived. You imagine they still rebel against God. This is crazy, but it's all
Yeah.
written and all underlined. First of all, to remind us that we are all human, that we all make mistakes and we can make big mistakes. And second of all, to learn out of our mistakes. We cannot cover up, what we did wrong. At the contrary, we just, highlight this. So, if there was cases of like this in the past, I believe it would have been written somewhere, for examples, for in order for it not to happen again. This is the way you can prevent things. At the contrary, in many other religions, they try to to hide this. The Vatican is full of homosexuality and pedophilia and everything. We know this, like
Well, all everything that was hidden is coming to light.
so they like create they like hiding it and everything. So it keeps on
Everybody, every whatever group it is, who even individuals, every individual, right? Everything's gonna just come to light.
So what do you think about, as a Christian? What do you think about the mothership like of Christianity, which is the for me the Vatican is like
I
the
don't bow
one
to the
that
Vatican. I don't bow to the Pope.
so no, I know because there is like something like 46,000 I think Christian denominations. So you have evangelism, you have so do you belong to
I bow to Jesus. When Jesus comes around, everybody's going to bow to him when he comes.
so you're not Catholic, you're like what, Protestant, you like
Well,
what
I grew up Catholic, but I don't really attend any churches. I just study the Bible and I pray and I have my own
that's the
discernment and I
best.
lead my own life.
That's good, independent, freelance.
Yeah, I don't have to have anyone else's faith. You know, I read the Bible and I can pray, and it's like,
I
why
think
would I take on another man's faith, right, or their own
that,
opinion? It's like, think for
well,
myself.
I tell you something, that's the safest way to go. The best thing is not to belong to any caste of people, anything, because you know that at one point, things are going to be used to control you, to
Yeah.
to make
Well,
money or whatever.
I like individuals. I'll meet other people that are Christian, or what, like you. You're a Jewish man. I could talk with you. You know, we
Of
all
course,
believe in God. You
yeah.
know, and then
I, I,
we can
I,
exchange ideas and share
I,
fellowship together.
I
Right?
tell you what, in Israel, I know. I have very good friend. I have a very good friend, which is an Arab that doesn't have even an Israeli citizenship. I know him for years. Very good guy, very straight person. I know his father, very straight guy. It's like I trust him with my life. And this is one type of Arab that I know, but I know other Arabs that are against the state of Israel, that will fight him and everything. But that are flat earthers too. They believe also in flat earth. So
Yep.
this is crazy because we know each other like this. We say hi and everything. We can talk and we can kid around and everything. But we know we have our differences. But as soon as they realize about flat earth the way we do, it brings us together in a way that it's unbelievable. That means that we can talk like there is no more barriers. There is no more things. Okay, we
Yep.
don't agree. We it's normal that when you have all kinds of people agreeing on something, getting close around something. So of course they won't agree on everything. We don't have the same tastes about food. We don't have the same beliefs, but it doesn't matter. On that particular field, we brothers. Then we have different fields where we'll fight each other on different opinions, but it stays within a family. This is what's important. That means that
Yes,
flatters
I
gives us that
like that.
opportunity to keep on our fights, keep on our differences, and agree, but with a different kind of respect now, because we know that actually we are fighting a human being in front of us. You understand? Because by
Yeah.
by accepting that flat Earth somehow it's like a proof that you're human, you're human being. So it forces respect, even though you can be
Well,
my enemy on a different field, but I respect you now more because I know that you have values. On one side you have like good guys, thinking with logic, trying to prove things, respectful guys that don't insult or make fun, and the other side you have like people that just like insult you and making fun
yes.
and don't prove anything. So hey, that's clear that hello, okay, now I know
You know what? We
who,
could talk about that a moment. We could talk about that a moment. Those people spew hate speech against
yeah.
the minority group, which is the flat earthers. Now, can you imagine what would happen if they did that against like a group of trans people or black people? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Could you
that's it. But
imagine how quickly they would get shut down
yeah,
if
of
they went
course.
against the gay people or
Yeah, of course.
lesbian people? But for
But
some reason, right?
yeah,
It's permissible that they do
yeah.
hate speech, right? It's
But
weird.
actually, I also realized that among the opposition, there are a very wide community of gays and homosexuals opposed to us. I'm not against homosexuals themselves because I see them as victims. I see homosexuality as an abomination, like it is in the Torah. But I believe that the people actually that are homosexual are mostly victims that we have to help. The ones that are you know enforcing these feelings, these things, Those ones have to be you get we have to catch them and stop them.
In the news I watch, during June, they show the gay pride parades. They do
Yeah,
the whole month, and they show it on the mainstream news channel,
yeah.
and it's hard to watch. You know?
But not only this, but you see in Israel there is a company called Superfarm, and they promote homosexuality in a very like sadistic way because they want to sell you like a toothpaste. So they show like a father, young guy, cute guy with a little girl, and then the camera goes back like this, and then you see that next to him there's another man. That means like, and they show you like a nice house with two men and a child. Like it's a new,
Yeah.
new
They
type of.
they show that in the United States too. They show
Yeah,
that in the
yeah. So
United States in
yeah,
commercials too, like to
so they're
make
not
it
telling you.
acceptable.
Yeah, they normalize, this thing. That
But
means that
but what happens? It's unpopular when the
well,
people respond. Right, like they did that in the store called Target. In my area, there's like a big store called Target. You buy clothes and stuff. They started showing gay things, satanic things, and the people did not like it. They responded, and so now
yeah,
they shut it down.
you're right.
So
In
it's
our
like,
generation, we people in our age, in our generation, we're gonna reject that. How about our
yes,
kids?
exactly.
So they have
It could
time,
be this. Well, they're
and
unique.
they work
People are
on.
unique. Yeah, there could be young people that look at it and say that it's just disgusting.
Yes, but also they can grow up into a system that normalizes all this, and then they're going to look at it like if it's normal because there's
That's
been
true
so
too.
much pictures. That's the point. So now the thing is that they don't sell you like a toothbrush and a toothpaste. They sell you this. This is activism. This is not
Yes.
commercial. This is activism. You know, dressed up into a commercial. This is activism. Disguised activism.
Yeah,
So
people don't
these
like
people.
it.
Well,
People respond. That people respond, and
but
then they say they don't like it, and then it takes time.
but I tell you what, there are lots of homosexuals that want to get out of it, that they realize that it's not the right thing, that they got fooled, and they cannot get out of it because they are being kept from getting out of it. It's very hard for them to get out of it, and or they believe it's too late for them, and it's never too late. Even for the emasculated people we call the eunuchs in the Torah, God says He will
Oh
come,
yeah,
He will
yeah.
bring them back, He will bring them back, and there's no problem. There are always a ways to come out of a situation, even an extreme situation like this, because it's a very bad thing. I believe it's not about sex. It's about a war against nature, against God. When we can talk about this, I know it's late now. We're not going to start on this, but
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
all this is a part of a war against nature, a war against the established, natural order, and
That is
those people
correct.
are victims, are being used into a war they don't even understand. So that's tough. That's very hard. And I believe the Gog and Magog war is always going to also going to be talking about this. Also, it's going to be
Yeah,
around
that's
this
coming
subject.
up, and I think that's possibly going to be coming up pretty soon. It's possible, the way things
Well,
are happening and changing quickly, because things are
well,
definitely changing quickly. And
well.
so
You know, but one thing, a last thing, because I know you're tired, but you know that
yeah.
the Israel's enemies, all our enemies were all gays. Not one was not gay. The Caesars was gay. The Nebuchadnezzar was gay. Recently in Spain, the Queen of Spain was a lesbian. Her husband was gay. Torquemada, Torquemada, the Inquisitor of Spain that tortured to death, like
Torquemada. Oh, okay, I
yeah,
heard about him. I remember that.
Torquemada, Jewish guy converted to Christianity, and he was gay officially. That's Wikipedia. That's not me. It's not a secret. Nazis were gays. Also, it's known. They're trying to cover that up, but we have lots of historians. I can confirm it to you. I have thousands of pictures of gays Nazis.
Oh yeah,
Dressing in
just look at the
women,
royalty, look at the presidents, look at Michelle Obama.
and even in the Torah,
They're men.
yeah, of course, they're men. And we know that. And also in the Torah, the head of Amalek, the king of Amalek called Agag, there is one word that tells you how gay he is, because when he comes to Samuel asks him to come, and he comes, and it's written in Hebrew the word ma'adanot, which means in an effeminate way, in a like in a way like this. He comes like this, And also Aman in the book of Esther, also it is written that he came back to his wife Zeresh, and he talked to his wife and to all his lovers. It's not his friends. In Hebrew, is oavav. That means his lovers, and it's not used. That word is not used, for talking about people's friends. So to tell you that all these guys were all gays, and in order to fight God, you have to believe it's the first step to take is to it's through the sexual disorder that you can start fighting God, because that's going to bring you to all the different kinds of disorders. Moral disorder, you're going to believe that what's good is bad and what's bad is good. Then mental disorder, you're going to believe that what's crazy is normal, what's not crazy, it's not normal. So all this, it's a war. It's a war against God. And those people are being used against it. And I believe they're going to realize it too, and they're going to help us.
Well, it's possible. Everything. People can change. People can heal.
They will. They will. The best of them
I
will
can dig
change.
it.
Even us, we also
No.
have to change. We're not perfect.
Yeah,
Also
not
full of-
perfect.
No.
What is this place? What's happening? Like, what are these
Yeah.
things happening? Honest
And you know what?
question.
And the more we're going to learn about what surrounds us, the more we're going to understand what's inside us and who we are. We're going to learn about who we are, human beings, by learning what surrounds us. Because the same creator that made both,
Yeah,
both our
and you know
environment,
what? And you know what that is? This whole place, this reality? I think it's all taking place inside God's imagination.
It's the thing that says we're living in God's dream.
Yes, I
It's not
understand that. I
It's
like
possible.
that. That's
Everything is
comforting.
possible.
That's comforting to think. That this place it's not permanent like this earth. But what is permanent is God. Like God's
Yeah,
imagination,
why-
God's heart.
This is why it's called that God is one. One doesn't mean that He's alone, but it's like it's unchanged in time. It's like stable. It's like it's one.
I
Doesn't
think
change.
that's why God created everything, because God was probably very lonely.
It's also possible. I've been thinking a lot about this also, because if He's
For a
alone,
long
of
time.
course, yeah. It's we can think about all these things. This is nice.
Right?
It's
Well,
also,
maybe like what I do. Maybe I would want to create my own little world, to look at. Create a nice little habitat for the people to live in. I could design them exactly how I want to design them. And then God did
then
that,
observe it.
and then the people disobeyed.
But that's the whole point. Because imagine if the men cannot disobey, cannot just go away from God. So it will be like a robot. Like what's interesting into that movie. That means that when man is making sins and is sinning and is coming back. So that's the interesting part. It's like whatever the thing is, like whatever you do, you can go as far away as possible from God. You're always going to come back to God. You're always going to come back to Him. Whatever. However. So that's
why the
thing
people make their own hell, right? That's why the people they create their own hell.
Of course. This is all
Because they're either
evil.
going towards God or away from God, right?
Everything which is good on earth comes from God. Everything which is evil comes from man. Nothing evil comes from God. God doesn't even punish you. Just like when He tells you things, it just gives you the way to come out of the situation you created. When you talk to Adam, okay, it's going to be like this. You're going to work the land like this, like this. It's not a punishment. It's just it tells you, okay, you screwed up. Now this is your way out. You're gonna have to do this and that and that and that and that and that and that, and you'll come out.
Yes, and God disciplines who He loves, which is very interesting. So it's like, yes, God will correct us.
Of course, that's the whole point. Make us grow.
I just want to say thank you, Sam, for inviting me on your show.
Thanks to you.
And,
Thanks to you. That's great.
And I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can do more podcasts together. We could do projects, work on some more flat Earth projects and stuff. And I like that.
Beginning of January, we're gonna start talking about the flat Earth wars.
That is interesting because it does seem like that. It does seem like the flat Earthers are like a small group of heroes versus a huge enemy, a huge powerful enemy.
Exactly,
but
like
that's,
David and
that
Goliath.
story, Yeah, but that story does favor the underdog, right? The heroes win in the end.
Always.
With God's help, the heroes win. But the enemy is huge and powerful.
That's why they know that. That's why they invest so much against us, because they know what's at stake. They know they can lose. We are the biggest threat to the new world
And then
order.
we're just simple people. I have a cell phone. I'm asking questions. But that's the problem, is that a lot of just normal people are just awakening, and that is the most huge threat to them.
How do I know that we are in the beginning of something big? Because it's exactly the way the creation starts. Listen to the creation. It says that everything was dark, in the beginning, and there was, water, and the darkness was covering the deep. But there was the Spirit of God,
hovering above.
Yes.
Yeah, hovering above. That's cool.
It's just that there was an awakening. There was something. Everything is dark. We're living in the dark times, in very dark times. But there is something, some chemistry. Something is taking form here.
That's hopeful. It's hopeful. It's
and then the first thing is, let there be light. Light is also understanding. First thing to do is to understand things.
And then God separated the light from the darkness.
Then you make the difference between everything. You kill the confusion. The creation
is going in a cycle, right? It's going in a big cycle that repeats, and I like that too. That's comforting. It's comforting to exist in this cycle.
It's a great experience. We're living something great.
All right, Sam. That's cool. All right, well, I'll see you later. All right, and I'll talk with you again, okay? Take it easy.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Great pleasure. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.